All right, let's dive into one of the most powerful stories of liberation ever told, straight out of the book of Exodus. It all kicks off with some really strange, really specific instructions given to a nation of slaves, commands that would literally change everything for them.
And that brings us to the big question we're tackling today. How on earth does one single meal spark the birth of an entire nation? Well, as you'll see, the answer is kind of hidden in the details of the ritual itself.
So this story doesn't start with a big battle or a rebellion. Nope. It begins with a command, delivered through Moses. The Israelites, who are slaves in Egypt, get this set of instructions that are super specific, super symbolic, and you can just feel the urgency, like something massive is about to happen.
And when I say the instructions are precise, I mean they are precise. It all starts on the 10th day of the month. Each family has to pick out a perfect lamb, one with no blemishes at all. Then, 4 days later, they have to slaughter it and, this is the crucial part, collect its blood. That blood gets painted on the doorposts of their houses. Then, they roast the lamb whole. Every single step is laid out. Nothing is left to chance.
And the meal itself? Oh, it has its own set of rules, and they all point to two things: speed and remembrance. They have to eat it with unleavened bread, because there's no time for it to rise, and with bitter herbs, to remember just how bitter slavery was. No leftovers either. Anything left has to be burned. But here's the kicker. It's how they have to eat. Fully dressed, shoes on, staff in hand, ready to leave at a moment's notice. The message couldn't be clearer. Be ready to run.
So what is all this for? I mean, what's the point of this whole elaborate ceremony? Well, the text gives it a name. This is the Lord's Passover. And you quickly realize this isn't just a symbolic dinner. It's a divine event with life and death hanging in the balance.
All these careful, detailed preparations, they are all building up to one single, absolutely terrifying night. This whole ritual, it isn't just symbolic. It's meant to be a shield against a disaster that's about to hit the very heart of Egypt.
And the reason why becomes terrifyingly clear. A judgment is coming. On this one night, a plague will sweep through Egypt, and every single firstborn, from the royal palace all the way down to the livestock in the fields, will be struck down. The stakes just got as high as they can possibly be.
So, how are the Israelites supposed to survive something like this? Well, it all goes back to the blood on their doors. The text calls the blood a token, a visible sign. It's the one and only thing that will set their homes apart from all the others in Egypt that night.
And the outcome of that night is just a stark, brutal contrast. For the Egyptians, it's total devastation. The sound of a great cry fills the land because there isn't a single house that hasn't been touched by death. But for the Israelites, the promise holds true. When I see the blood, I will pass over you. Their obedience becomes their salvation.
And the absolute horror of that night, it instantly triggers the very thing the Israelites were told to be ready for: a sudden, chaotic, and final escape from the country where they'd been enslaved.
The Egyptians, completely overcome with terror and grief, don't even try to stop them. In fact, it's the opposite. They are urgent, practically begging them to leave, and their reason is just chilling. We be all dead men. They're terrified that if the Israelites stay 1 second longer, every single Egyptian will die. Now, to get the sheer scale of this moment, you have to wrap your head around this number. 430 years. That's how long they'd been in Egypt. We're talking generations and generations who knew nothing else. Their whole world was this place of slavery, and then, in a single night, it was over. And the size of this exodus is just as mind-boggling. The text says about 600,000 men left on foot, and that's not even counting the women and children. So this isn't a small group of refugees sneaking away in the dark. This is the mass movement of an entire people, a nation being born in a single night of frantic escape. And hey, remember that whole thing about unleavened bread? Well, this is exactly why. They had zero time to wait for dough to rise. The people just grabbed their unrisen dough, wrapped up their bowls and their clothes, threw them over their shoulders, and ran. That command wasn't just symbolic, it was practical, life-saving prep for the reality of their escape. Now, this event was never meant to be just a one-time thing that people forgot about. The instructions weren't just for that one night. They were for all time. This story was built to be a legacy. And the name itself, Passover, is pretty much a literal description of what happened. It's all about that moment when the plague passed over the houses of Israel, sparing them while judgment fell on everyone else. So to make sure this memory would never ever fade, that one-time ritual gets turned into a yearly tradition.
Every year, this day is to be a memorial feast. For 7 days, they eat unleavened bread, just like they did on that first night. And maybe most important of all, they're commanded to teach their kids what it all means.
What's so amazing is that the text actually anticipates this. It sets up this future conversation between parents and their kids. It's basically saying, look, when your children ask you, hey, why are we doing all this? You need to have the answer ready. You tell them the story of deliverance, of the blood on the door, of the night an entire nation was saved. And it's that act of telling and retelling that turns a historical event into a core identity.
Which kind of leaves us with one final big thought. The Passover isn't just some old story. It's a living ritual that's been observed for thousands of years. So what is it? What gives a set of symbols, foods in a story the power to last that long, to bind generations together through this shared memory of terror, rescue, and the birth of a nation?